In this episode, we'll talk about the canter, the gait that offers numerous positive effects for the horse, many of which no other gait can achieve. That's why it should be practiced frequently under saddle, especially when training to ride without reins. Thanks to the moment of suspension in the air, it is far easier in canter than in trot to change direction using only the seat to make even the smallest corrections through the seat alone. However, this only works if the rider sits well enough not to disturb the horse. Many riders find this difficult. So before we discuss the benefits and special features of the canter, let's first take a closer look at the rider's seat. During canter, the push-off into the suspension phase and the landing afterward generate stronger centrifugal forces on the rider than at walk or trot. Sitting quietly and without disturbing the horse is therefore especially important in the other gaits as well, of course, but most riders struggle more in the canter. We need calm lower legs and a quiet seat, no exaggeratedly turned out feet, no riders thudding into the saddle, no gripping with the legs, no unnecessary movements, and above all, of course, quiet, relaxed hands. The prerequisite, as always, is a stable core. I hope you've all been practicing diligently the exercises from the first, episode 3. With that foundation, the hands and lower legs will naturally become steady. It brings stability, calmness, and balance to the rider's position. Another prerequisite, positive, not negative tension, concentration, and composure. Many riders are afraid of cantering and therefore work their horses almost exclusively in a trot and walk. Apparently, the idea that one is more likely to fall off in canter is deeply rooted in many riders' minds. So the very first thing I try to teach is to view the canter as something completely normal, simply another gait, nothing more. And in truth, one can fall off just as easily at walk or trot if the horse spooks or starts bucking or whatever. Having no fear of cantering and doing it regularly is the best possible form of loosening and overall movement, an excellent cardiovascular workout, and the most effective method for achieving both mental and physical relaxation for the rider and the horse. The canter offers so many advantages that we should make full use of it in daily training. Exceptions are horses with severe respiratory or other health problems, which shouldn't be ridden anyway, and certain gaited or driving breeds that naturally find cantering difficult. For all others, cantering promotes muscular and mental relaxation like no other gait, not least because the horse's breathing rhythm or the breathing itself is directly linked to its movement while cantering. But let's take it step by step. In canter, the hind legs are brought forward through the flexion of the lumbar spine rather than from the hip joint as in trot. This movement activates and mobilizes large parts of the horse's body. The rhythmic, wave-like flexion and extension of the back that occurs with every canter stride moves the entire area from the thoracic spine to the tail across the sacroiliac joints to the hind legs. Each stride helps to release tension, particularly in the back, core, and supporting muscles, promotes flexibility, and relieves restrictions in the back, pelvis, hindquarters, shoulders, and forehand. And with the correct seat, it benefits the rider as well. In trot, on the other hand, the forward movement of the hind legs mainly originates in the hip joint. Many horses constantly tense their gluteal, intercostal, and back muscles for this. Extensive trot work can therefore have negative effects, for example, on the semitendinosus and semibrambonosus muscles and the biceps femoris. The latter, incidentally, is one of the strongest muscles in the horse's body. All three are key muscles for forward propulsion, the engine of the horse, collectively known as the hamstrings. Those muscles are particularly prone to stress. They are among the first to tighten when a horse perceives a danger, a clever mechanism as these muscles are vital for flight. But it also means they can be directly influenced by the rider's skill, body control, and emotions. Horses respond to everything we feel, think, and do. A fearful, tense, or insecure rider, as well as any pain or forced posture in the horse, can therefore directly affect the optimal functions of these and many other muscles, triggering a chain of tension, dysfunction, and pain. Whenever the back drops or the lifting of the abdomen is disturbed by the rider, these muscles are overstrained. They can become so sore that some horses even lash out when touched. Riders then complain about resistance and a stiff horse. The typical response? Hours of trotting on the lunge line, often with the nose tied in, which only worsens, of course, the strain on these and all other muscles of the dorsal chain. A shortened semitendinosus or semimembranosus naturally prevents proper engagement of the hind legs, making any real work impossible. Relaxation is not possible under such conditions. Remember, even our own tension or insecurity can prevent the horse from stepping under the center of gravity. That's why relaxation is the single most important prerequisite for everything we do with a horse. And this is where the canter comes back into play. It positively affects these very muscles as each canter stride stretches and lengthens them through the swinging forward motion of the hind leg, keeping them supple through natural movement. Another crucial aspect of cantering is breathing. In all gaits except the canter, the horse controls its own breathing rhythm and depth, using its respiratory muscles to inhale and exhale. That's not always ideal because, first, respiratory muscles, like any muscle, can become tight, painful, or fatigued. The horse will then breathe more shallowly and increase its breathing rate, which further strains the muscles and creates a vicious cycle. Second, the same happens with tension. A horse that is not relaxed will breathe shallowly and rapidly instead of deeply and calmly. If we ride such a tense horse, perhaps without including canter work even, where the lungs would at least be fully ventilated, we risk contributing to oxygen deficiency. That's why relaxation must always come first. Another reason. At walk, trot, and even when standing, the horse must use its respiratory muscles actively to fill and empty its lungs. It can decide how deep and how fast to breathe, which often results in shallow breathing when the horse is tense, anxious, or in pain. Like any other muscle, the respiratory muscles can become tense, making breathing difficult or painful, and fatigue, which prevents deep breathing altogether. In the first case, the horse breathes as shallowly as possible to avoid pain. In the second, its heart and breathing rates remain high long after exertion because the respiratory muscles are too tired to draw in enough air to restore oxygen balance. The body then compensates by increasing heart rate to circulate more blood per minute and increasing breathing frequency to compensate for shallow breath and deliver more oxygen overall. The way we ride and handle the horse directly affects its blood oxygen levels. And only a relaxed, confident horse can breathe optimally and release its flight muscles. In canter, however, the horse does not control its breathing consciously. The air exchange in the lungs happens automatically. That may sound strange, but it's a brilliantly efficient design. With every canter stride, the lungs are completely filled and emptied without muscular effort. That's why horses with chronic respiratory issues often cough in canter. While they may avoid deep breathing at walk or trot to prevent irritation, the full lung capacity is used in canter. The mechanism is simple and ingenious. As the horse pushes off into the suspension phase, the momentum shifts the organs and diaphragm backward. This movement draws in air passively, filling the lungs completely. When the horse lands again, the diaphragm contracts, pushing the organs forward and expelling the air, which also happens by inertia. This perfectly coordinated system allows the horse to take in maximal oxygen during flight with no additional energy expenditure. This is important because oxygen deficiency and resulting muscle weakness are among the main causes of injuries and performance drops. For us riders, beyond all the physical and conditioning benefits, this deep, passive breathing has another effect that can't be overstated. It loosens and relaxes structures that only the canter, no other gait, no special riding technique, no groundwork can reach. Cantering therefore promotes the horse's physical and mental suppleness in a truly unique way. My tip: If you're unsure, have someone lunge you and practice your seat, especially in canter. Do the rider fitness exercises. Work on rein independence, and then go canter your horses, assuming they're healthy, of course. Especially in autumn and winter, there's nothing that can replace it. So now enjoy and canter on.